Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine someone whose entire professional life, well, it revolves around really carefully planning for other people's golden years.
Right.
They're advising on investments, saving strategies, navigating, complex succession plans.
Mm-hmm.
You just assume their own retirement would be this perfectly tuned machine,
You
right?
think so?
A perfect picture of financial foresight. But our source material today, this PDF called 5 Reasons Advisors Avoid Retirement Planning, it tells a much more human story and, frankly, a relatable one.
Yeah.
So today we're diving deep into this surprising paradox. The very professionals we trust with our financial futures often seem to struggle planning their own exit. It's kind of like a world-class chef, maybe, cooking amazing meals for everyone else but living on takeout.
It's a great analogy. And what's truly fascinating here, beyond just the irony, is how universal some of these human tendencies are, even for people trained in, rigorous financial foresight.
Absolutely.
So, our mission for this deep dive is to explore these top 5 reasons financial advisors are reluctant to plan for retirement. We're not just looking at what the reasons are, but really digging into why there's such significant barriers, psychologically and practically.
Okay.
Hopefully we can offer you some aha moments, not just about financial planning, but maybe about the deeper human challenges we all face thinking about big life changes.
Yeah, it's a really compelling look at the human side of what we often think are just logical, numbers-based decisions. So let's jump in. The first core reason from the source: emotional attachment. Many advisors have literally poured their hearts and souls into building their practices, like from scratch. This isn't just a job for them.
No, not at all. The source really highlights how the practice becomes, fundamentally part of their identity.
Right.
It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's their legacy, something they've created and nurtured, often for decades. I mean, imagine spending 20, 30, maybe even 40 years building something that reflects your values, your expertise, how you care for clients.
Yeah, that's huge.
So the thought of stepping away, it can be profoundly difficult emotionally, makes it hard to even picture life without it, let alone, embrace it. If we connect this broader, it really speaks to that challenge lots of entrepreneurs face, right? Separating their personal worth from what they've built.
Definitely.
And for an advisor, clients aren't just accounts, they're relationships, often built over many years through really personal financial stuff. Stepping away can feel almost like abandoning family.
Wow, yeah.
It's a heavy feeling, and it makes letting go of something that defines so much of who you are really, really tough.
That totally resonates. It's way more than just a business. It's like a piece of them. And building on that powerful emotional connection, the second reason feels like a natural extension.
Yeah.
The fear of losing control.
Yes, exactly. The source points clearly to how unsettling it feels to hand over the reins, whether it's to a younger associate, maybe a partner, or even selling to an outside firm. The idea of just letting go of control, that's a massive hurdle.
I can see that.
Advisors worry, deeply about the future of their business. Will it keep its values? Will clients get the same level of care? Will it even survive, let alone thrive, under new leadership? It brings up big questions about trust, and often this feeling that their way, their approach, is unique.
Their secret sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Their client focus, maybe their investment philosophy. For someone who's always been in charge, whose reputation is tied to every single decision, stepping back and letting someone else steer the ship, that feels like a huge risk, personally and professionally. It's not just about the money. It's about the whole philosophy, the personal touch they believe makes their practice special.
I can certainly see that perspective. It's a very, very personal business. Now, here's one that this might surprise you, given what they do for a living. The third reason: financial uncertainty. For the advisors themselves, despite being experts at managing other people's money, they can be genuinely unsure if they've saved enough for the kind of retirement they want.
Right. And what's absolutely fascinating here is that classic shoemaker's children go barefoot thing happening.
Totally.
The experts sometimes neglect their own area, The source points out this is often a stark contrast to the super detailed, meticulous planning they do for clients, but for themselves. Concerns about the economy, rising healthcare costs, which are huge unexpected expenses. It can create a real sense of vulnerability. It's almost like being too close to the complexity, seeing all the what-ifs and potential problems constantly, makes them hyper-aware of their own potential gaps.
So their expertise is kind of a double-edged sword.
Exactly. They might be asking themselves, have I really covered all the bases? Is my plan really going to hold up? And that self-doubt, ironically, comes from how much they know. It creates a psychological block to their own planning.
That's a really profound point.
Yeah.
Their knowledge can almost paralyze them personally.
Yeah.
Which leads us nicely into the fourth reason. Just simply lacking the time and, maybe surprisingly, this specific personal expertise.
Yeah.
Running a successful practice is incredibly demanding. It takes so many different skills. Client management, investment strategy, operations, compliance, marketing.
It's relentless. And the source explains how advisors often end up prioritizing the immediate needs, the urgent stuff for their practice and clients, over their own long-term planning.
Putting out fires.
Exactly. They're so busy working in the business day in, day out, serving clients, that they just don't carve out focused time to work on their own future.
Right.
It's like, the architect living in a basic house because they're too busy designing amazing homes for clients.
Yeah, I get that.
Plus, while they know finance inside out, the specific knowledge needed for their own succession, valuing their unique practice, structuring a deal, navigating all the emotional stuff of exiting that can be quite different from typical client planning. So it leads to procrastination, avoidance. It's that classic situation. Too busy taking care of everyone else to properly take care of yourself, often because your own needs feel less urgent or like something you can deal with later.
I can definitely relate to that feeling, just being swamped by the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's a really intriguing one mentioned in the source, maybe a bit alarming. Reason number 5, perceived invincibility. This I'll never retire mindset.
This is a big one. This belief that they can or maybe even must work indefinitely. It creates, as the source notes, a serious lack of urgency about retirement planning.
Right.
It's pretty common among really high-achieving people who get huge satisfaction and purpose from their work. They might genuinely think they'll stay sharp forever or that their clients just couldn't cope without them. But the source is pretty blunt about the consequences. The value of their practice starts to decline because there's no plan, and eventually client service can suffer as the advisor inevitably slows down or faces health issues.
Yeah, reality bites eventually.
Yeah. It does, and this perception of invincibility often gets shattered, just boom, by something unforeseen, a major health scare, a family emergency, maybe a sudden market shift that exposes weaknesses.
Right.
And this raises a crucial point. If you avoid planning, consciously or not, life often ends up making the decisions for you.
Oof.
In fact, our source says these unexpected life events are actually the number 2 reason for practice transitions. The only thing higher is advisor burnout.
Wow. Second only to burnout.
Yeah. So it really highlights how many transitions are reactive, often suboptimal. Instead of being planned strategic moves, people are forced into making huge decisions under stress.
So, okay, we've got these 5 reasons. That deep emotional bond with the business, the fear of losing control, their own surprising money worries, the practical challenges of time and specific exit expertise, and then this powerful I'll never retire feeling. It really sounds like a potent mix, doesn't it? Motion control, finance time, and a bit of self-delusion, all kind of conspiring against planning ahead.
It absolutely is. And while you can really understand the reluctance, the source material is very clear. It's crucial for advisors to actively push through these barriers.
Right.
The benefits of preparing are huge, not just for them personally, but for their clients, for the practice's future. Things like proactive succession planning. That lets advisors transition on their own terms.
Which preserves their legacy.
Exactly. Preserves the legacy, often maximizes the value they get, and makes the whole retirement journey much smoother. It's about taking charge of how the story ends, instead of just letting it happen.
And the source hints at even bigger things happening in the industry, which is fascinating for anyone in or around finance. It mentions a huge market shift coming in the next 5 years because, get this, 40% of advisors are expected to exit the industry.
Yeah, 40%.
That's a massive number. What does that even mean for clients or the industry itself?
It's monumental. A 40% exit rate. That's a huge demographic wave and potentially leaves a big gap in advisory services. For clients, well, it could mean changes in who advises them. For the industry, it's a massive opportunity for those ready to grow, but a real challenge too.
Right.
It just hammers home how vital proactive planning is, both for the advisors leaving and for ensuring clients are still well served. And the source also mentions some interesting solutions like these sell and stay deals. They're apparently getting much more popular because they tackle some of these core problems we've discussed.
Sell and stay deals. Okay, what exactly does that mean? Can you break that down?
Sure. So a sell and stay is basically where an advisor sells their practice maybe to a bigger firm or another advisor, but they don't just walk away. They stay involved for a set period, often in a different role, maybe less demanding, maybe consulting. So they get the financial security of selling the practice now, locking in their retirement funds, but they still keep a connection.
To the clients in the business.
Exactly. To their clients, to the business they built. It offers this really valuable middle ground for advisors who aren't quite ready to just stop. It directly addresses that fear of losing control, eases the emotional difficulty by making the exit gradual.
And gives them financial certainty without just cutting off income and purpose cold turkey.
Precisely. It allows for a much more elegant transition rather than a sudden, jarring stop.
That makes a ton of sense, linking right back to those emotional and control issues. Okay, the source also briefly mentioned practice valuation as being like a critical first step in all this.
Foundational.
It said, a good valuation tells an advisor what the practice is really worth today, how it stacks up against others, maybe when its value might start to dip, and crucially, what they can actually do to improve its value before selling.
Yes, it really is foundational. Think of it like getting a comprehensive health check for your business baby.
Yeah.
For an advisor, just knowing the objective financial value of their life's work, that can shift retirement from this vague, scary idea into a concrete, manageable plan.
Empowers them.
Totally empowers them to make informed decisions about when to transition, how to structure it, what needs fixing to make the practice more attractive. It directly tackles that financial uncertainty we talked about and replaces guesswork with actual data.
Right.
And just to bring it back to the human side, the source has this great testimonial from an advisor, Derek Kinney. He worked with a legacy planning service and described it like having a set of binoculars to see the future and a magnifying glass to not miss any details.
Oh, nice.
He talked about how they guided him, helped him choose a trustworthy buyer, and ultimately gave him the freedom he wanted while ensuring his clients and team were looked after.
Yeah.
It really highlights the kind of comfort and control that proper proactive planning can bring, making sure that legacy they worked so hard for actually continues successfully.
So, okay, wrapping this up,
Yeah.
What does this all mean for you, our listener? We've taken this deep dive into why financial advisors, the people who are experts at planning, often stumble with their own retirement. From those deep emotional ties to the business, the fear of letting go of control, their own surprising financial worries, the simple lack of time, and even that sort of I'll live forever mindset.
Yeah.
It's a very human story, really, that goes beyond just finance.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it teaches us some incredibly valuable lessons about ourselves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That resistance to planning for big changes, the difficulty in letting go of things that define us, the uncertainty about our own financial or professional futures, these aren't unique to advisors at all.
No.
So it raises an important question for you. Where in your own life might you be kind of applying an I'll never retire mindset, maybe unconsciously, or putting off crucial planning for your future, whether that's about your career, family stuff, or your actual retirement?
That's a great question to ponder. Consider how taking control, planning proactively, even for those transitions that feel really difficult or emotional. It isn't just about the money.
No.
It's about preserving what's important to you, your legacy, maybe your peace of mind, and ultimately making sure you have the freedom to define what comes next. So what step, maybe even a small one, could you take today to get a bit more clarity and control over your future, inspired by what we've learned from these advisors' experiences?
It's really about cultivating that foresight for yourself, isn't it? Finding those aha moments, looking at things from different angles, and then using that insight to empower your own choices, rather than just letting things happen to you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you walk away with not just some interesting information, but maybe a fresh, proactive way of looking at your own path forward.